What up, YouTube? There it is. Paul from the Bank of I, and we're gonna talk some more guitar shit using the Ibanez Geo. And I got my son that's like under 200 bucks, as well as the Line 6 and the B52 cab. Um, so I like talking about using whatever you have to achieve whatever you want with tone and shit. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about some cheap ass distortion pedals. I'm gonna show them to you real quick. Right there, you got a Behringer HD300 Mega Distortion, and then you got the Boss Metal Core. Damn right, I'm keeping all that fucking shitty footage of the in between in there. Anyhow, I'm not going through all the crap that shows you how I got the tone, because all you got to do is just turn some fucking knobs. The Mega Distortion just has level, tone, which goes between more scooped or more added mid range, as well as highs or lows. Then it has a distortion knob, a gain knob, so that way it's got its own built-in overdrive. And then it has a bottom, which is exactly what it sounds like. It has some fat ass to your tone, so you can increase the thickness of that ass or thin it up a bit. And then on the metal core, it just has level, low, high, and distortion. Now, all I'm going to really say descriptively is these are not the best distortion pedals on the market. The Behringer one is a clone of the Boss MD2 Mega Distortion. So if you're familiar with that thing that came out in the 90s, it's supposed to add more low end and beefiness to your modern metal sound. And then the metal core pedal, same basic thing, but it was early 2000s. And it even had a booklet that told you how to get like more death metal grindcore shit like that, if I remember right. In the Mega Distortion, I don't remember if it had a little booklet, but I never owned it. But the HD300 Behringer was a mistake. My oldest daughter was trying to order me the HM300, I believe it's called, which is a Behringer clone of the HM2, which that's a discussion for a whole nother video. And I'll talk about getting that tone using a Line 6 M5. But right now we're just focusing on these two because I don't have enough fucking cables and patch cables and whatever else to run 3 pedals. So on the HD300 or the MD2, I'm not a big fan. It's not never was. It supposedly gives you more of a Mesa Boogie style distortion. It was kind of like a answer to the Metal Zone, which was designed for like Marshall style gain. Anyhow, I like talking about getting tone for cheap shit, and that pedal normally goes between 25 and 35 bucks on the used market. I think new it's like 25. But when using a distortion pedal, especially if you get an amp like the Line 6 where you don't have an effects return or effects loop, whatever you want to call it, unless you do some goofy ass shit, which we're not getting into because I haven't tried it personally. But so basically, any distortion pedal, you want to make sure that you have a decent clean tone. And I'm using the same clean tone for both of them. I'm not going to go and do the painstaking bullshit process of switching shit out. But I'm going to play both pedals, using the same basic tone. So, you know. Yeah, so that's basically the clean tone. Which, you know, you want it to sound nice and clear. Now, let's just get to the shit that you people have waited over 5.5 fucking minutes to get to. What do they sound like? Well, first, let's do the Behringer. And we're just going for death metal. We're not going for fucking, you know, like Yngwie or Steve Vai or anything like that. We're going more for like, what did some dude back in the late 80s, early 90s decide when he was writing badass death metal riffs? And we're tuned to E flat on the Ibanez. So, you know, it's not going to have that super deep death metal tone, but this is the Behringer. And you know, it's alright. But you know, it sounds a lot like that old style. You know, where you can sit there and do like that's just kind of what it does, you know, when you're playing your death metal rhythms. And, you know, it gets the job done because, you know, old school death metal guitars sounded like shit. But yet, when you mixed it with the bass, the other guy's guitars sounded like shit. The drums and the vocals, and overall together, it sounded freaking amazing. But, you know, that's kind of what you're getting from the Behringer. And remember, I'm doing this with a guitar with stock pickups, all that shit. I'm not making excuses. I'm just giving you, you know, like, always remember when the guys from Dismember and Entombed and every other band that sounded the same guitar tone wise went into a freaking studio in Sweden. They were playing an HM2, ran into a freaking PV with a 10-inch speaker, and maybe they daisy chained it with a Marshall or not Marshall, Boss DS1 distortion pedal, and maybe they didn't. Pin it on the guy, but yeah. So you want to sound brutal? That's proof right there that it doesn't cost shit. Now this is the metal core, which I believe I got for under $100 when I bought it brand new. I think it was like 80 with tax. And you can probably find these on the used market around $50 or less, if they're being honest. If they're not being honest, then it's gonna cost like 80 to 120 because people are greedy. You know, it's used gear for a reason. Now this pedal I have personally owned for close to 20 years. It's been on stage. It served me well. I used it with that BC Rich War Beast that you see me use a lot. I used it with a BC Rich Bitch SE, which I miss that guitar. It was friggin' sweet, but we're not talking about that one right now. Anyhow, here is what the drop my. It's not the pick I dropped. Drop my pick. Refresher, clean sound. Now the metal core. All right, that's all I got. Just give you a little taste of some distortion pedals ran into the front of the amp through the clean channel. I'm sure somebody didn't pay attention to the fact that this head does not have an effects loop. That's why I ran it in through the front. That's why I didn't do a demonstration of the difference between front of the amp and in front of the preamp as opposed to in front of the power amp, blah, 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 yada, 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 yakety schmackety, etc., since it doesn't pertain to this. The one person that I imagine that probably won't be real that says, oh, that Behringer sounds like shit, or why don't you just do a tube screamer in front of the high gain channel? Because we're not talking about that. And the Behringer may only sound like shit to you. Or why would you play something that says metalcore when you're playing when you're doing death metal? Because it's a high gain fucking distortion pedal. That's why. No, I just wanted to give you guys a quick sample. Hope you enjoyed it. Once again, to those that have been helping me out during this shitty time, since my job decided to separate our partnership, I appreciate it a lot. Once again, big shout out to Shredbeard, Fomorian Productions, Barry from That Goat Metal Show, Francisco from Jamming Out All Badass, Lord Necron of TheWitchingHour, Revik and Mordant Red, Vincent from Asheron and Vincent Crowley, as well as Eddie from Realms of Metal channel here on YouTube, but he also has a store called Realms of Rock. I'll once again post all links related to them. I don't know if I said Lee and Misanthropy from Fomorian Productions. But yeah, so big shout out to them for what they've done to alleviate a lot of stress I've got going on with life. So yeah, thank you guys. Anyway, no, I guess I forgot to peddle the wares. You can get all your Kai CDs for the first 2 albums at Bandcamp. You can get Glimpse into a Violent Past on CD now, only through Fomorian Productions or Realms of Rock. Kai t-shirts are all available at Ivaristo 1974 on eBay through Barry at That Go Metal Show. I think they have one more of these Cannibal Dogman banners left over at Fomorian Productions. Yeah, so that's about it. I feel like I need to play one more riff. So I think I will. Do the metalcore. Thanks. Keep it metal. Whatever. This has been your crazy Hawaiian uncle living in Nebraska. Later.